Back, guys, to the B stream here at the Mexico Major. We're going into DWG KIA coming up against G2 on Villa. Thank you for sticking with us through those technical issues that we were just enduring. A few driver issues that needed rectifying on a couple of PCs. But by the sounds of it, we are good and almost ready to get into Villa race.
That's it. We're getting everybody into the lobby, and we'll be over there. I'm sure the players are absolutely itching to get themselves into this one because, as we've said, just to reiterate for everybody, I'm sure we've had some people join us since we did the pre-match. There is a lot riding on this game. The stakes are high. If DWG KIA win this inside of 12 rounds, they will be the first APAC team confirmed in the playoffs. G2 really could do with a win here to keep themselves alive and keep themselves fighting.
They do need that win, absolutely, because outside of that, DWG, as we just said a second ago, would find themselves stepping up onto 10 points, temporarily overtaking Dark Zero and sitting in first place. And then it becomes all about the war between G2 and NIP. Those two teams currently sat on 4 points down towards the bottom of that group. So for them, it's going to be where the rally really begins. And the most interesting game of all, Ace, would be the one after this game. G2 are sticking with us for a fun time here on Stream B. As the next game we will have after DWG Gaming versus G2 is going to be NIP coming up against G2. A big game, Ace, that I know we're all dying to see. But first, we've got to see how the APAC team fare off against G2 in a rematch of what we saw on Monday. And as a reminder, in case you missed it, DWG KIA did beat G2 7-4 on the first day of Mexico back on Monday. So coming into here, some expectations that they might be able to give G2 another good show. And if so, G2 are pretty much saying goodbye, I think, Ace.
Absolutely. I mean, there's two ways of looking at it. Obviously, G2 have experienced DWG KIA now. There's no excuse for not being prepared. They know what to see, what they think is going to be brought to the table. They've watched them play twice last night against NIP back-to-back. So the information is all there. DWG KIA should have no real surprises, or certainly not too many of them for G2. It's nice to see that the spirits seem to be up inside of the G2 camp. There's smiles. The team spirit there, they need to transfer that into the server. They need to carry that fun, carry that energy, and get this one shut down. It's not going to be the end of the journey for them. If G2 get the win here, they need to follow it up with a positive result against NIP if they want to continue that hope of qualifying for the playoffs. Like I say, if DWG KIA win, they go through to the playoffs. If it's within 12 rounds, G2 will be eliminated at that point. So there is a lot on the line in this one.
What I will give to G2 as well, you can still see the smiles and all of their faces there, and the little team huddle they had before getting into the game. It'd be very easy to be downtrodden at this point, thinking we're going home, but I think it's also it was an interesting conversation someone sparked the other day, saying, you know, how long do we hold G2 to a high accolade and be saying, oh, you know, they've won things in the past, therefore they should still be winning these days. It's kind of a brand tax associated with G2, that if you're on this lineup, you're expected to go and deliver well and potentially go and win big results. But not forgetting, for Yonka, for Hungary, it's been a while for Hungary, especially since they've had themselves on a stable roster. It's only been a couple of months. Give them a bit of time. Might just find the next major's the one for them. The results, obviously, in EWEL, not looking too bad so far, but there is always building work to do.
I think that's the key word there, is building. It's about looking for that improvement there. You know, even if they've come in and had a bad start, like you say, it might not be the major for them. It may be a little bit too soon in terms of the roster and its growth. But what we do need to see is improved performances as their stay in the tournament continues. So over these 3 days, we're looking to see that improvement. And this is a perfect yardstick for it. Struggled against DWG KIA to begin with, face up against them now towards the end. So let's see what G2 have been able to do, what they've been able to get going, how have they been able to improve.
Absolutely. And on the side of DWG KIA, a little bit up and down in performance, I think it's fair to say, throughout the event so far. Day one, absolute thunder. Then came into yesterday against DZ. Didn't quite look the same hotness that we'd seen on day one. Rin barely able to get involved because the side of DZ, especially Pamba, really finding an answer on Villa of all maps, let's not forget. So for G2, I think a golden opportunity to look back at what happened on that map, take some learnings away from it. Although DWG KIA did go on to beat NIP twice, which is the big story that everyone was excited about towards the back end of yesterday. Either way, the game is ready. Villa between G2 and DWG KIA. Really keen to see how this one plays out, Ace, because as we know, the more this day wears on, the more teams are locked in to either going home and heading to the airport soon or progressing into playoffs and getting a shot on the big stage at winning it all.
Well, this is the best bit. This is the best bit of groups for me. It's when you get down to these decision-making days where you're really having the games that will decide the fate of teams. Do they progress? Like you say, are they going back to the room to pack up and go home? This is what we are going to find out over the next few hours. We're going to be able to bring you all the answers by the end of the night, or at least the majority of them. I think some might just be finished off on the A stream once we're finished here with our games on Bravo. But we will certainly be able to see how the A group finishes. We'll certainly be able to see how the C group finishes, I think. And then we'll see maybe tomorrow morning when we get up, Des, how D has finished.
It's like waking up in the aftermath of a nuclear fallout, it feels sometimes, when you woke up after each day of the group stages so far. I do want to touch on these bans really quickly as they fly through. This is such a heavy target ban against Woogieman. When they played against Dark Zero, Dan1 Kia I'm talking about here. When they played against Dark Zero, he's attacking operator, Lion. He's defensive operator, Goyo. They're going so hard for him because we spoke about the Boogeyman and what he can achieve when he comes roaming up in the late round. Shutting him out here, forcing some different picks onto Dan1 Kia. Clearly a part of G2's strategy. As we've always said about them and their target bans has been a thing that we've seen a lot in EUL alongside Na'Vi.
Heading towards round one, then we're going to be with G2 defending to start with. It's going to be up in Aviator and Games. Kayak bringing the alibi, that's an interesting one. Citizen we quite regularly see on the Valkyrie if available, or we have at least historically. So plenty of black eye cameras brought along and information to be gained. One player that I'm keeping a close eye on, Des, I picked up on him before we came in here, and I think it's one that we need to just be monitoring really to get a gauge of how G2 might perform, and that is going to be Virtue. Need him working in tandem with Citizen. The best performances that we've seen out of G2 over the last 4 or 5 months have been when Virtue and Citizen have really popped off together and they've worked well. They've found frags between them. They've traded each other's deaths and they've just had fantastic sort of synergy between the two of them. We need to be seeing a little bit more out of Virtue. I think he's sat on about 29 kills so far in this tournament, and it's just not enough.
That's the thing, right? And I'm almost at a point now where I feel like we're a broken record. Every caster who's spoken about this team has said, oh, Virtue needs to improve and get back to his old state. The challenge is, how long do we keep on saying that? At what point does it become, right, something needs to happen now, because clearly things aren't improving. And I'm sure G2 have got an explanation for what's going on. I know that Virtue said about 2 or 3 play days before the end of EUL, he had a couple of things going on that he felt he'd addressed there and was ready to get back to his old form. We haven't yet seen that. It's the big question of how long you want it to go on for. I'm not at all trying to insinuate Virtue gets dropped or anything so drastic this early on, but it's clear that it's more than just hoping for him to improve. It's just what you have to accept is that Virtue maybe isn't quite up to scratch alongside players like Citizen.
Rin finds the opener onto Hungry, and that's going to terrify G2 because Rin came out with 19 kills last time these two met. And if that is how we are going to start as we mean to go on, it could be a big problem. They're going to need to find a way to shut down the Zofia of Rin. Woogieman getting himself onto that south side balcony for the time being with the Nomad. Will use those air jabs, no doubt, to block off any potential rotations. Now, we've seen this work already once today, Des. The old Claymore through the drone hole technique. We're not seeing the beams coming through. I don't know if there's something blocking it or not, but we did see Shaco falling foul of it, so one to watch out for.
Keep a close eye on it for sure. Citizen playing downstairs inside a library with the C4 in hand that he can wield. And, well, not anymore, actually. It's been placed out in this case. 3 on side if you look at it that way, because there's also one in the back pocket of Yonka still. Harlequins play quite hard for the denial game, and sure enough, there is the pre-plays coming out of Citizen. Finds one for himself, but immediately there is a response by the side of DK. Yas finding one back.
And it's going to be Kayak that they lose with the alibi going along with him. Katsang moving through from statuary there. So Dan1 Kia going to be pushing onto the north side of door. It has become pretty much the default attacking push now. It used to sort of be 50-50 as to whether we saw the attention from the north side or not, but it is almost every single attacking round now. Teams are going to want to get control of Trophy Statuary, get themselves into 90 corridor, lock down at least as far as down to the door of Games Room, and then try to push push in through to the map's table, get a diffuser down either behind the vault door or behind the map table itself, depending on what's happening inside of study usually. Now, Woogieman is going to be on the study window. The laser gate reactivates in front of him, so a little bit of progress that sort of takes a backward step there.
Trying to get this vault wall opened up. Was jammed away initially. I think it even still is, but still only partially. Maybe afraid of having a grenade rolled through and blowing out the jammer. I'm not quite sure, but I expect it would be on the other side, inside of the game room itself. Yonka whiffs a headshot. Yes, not too sure about that one, buddy, but a good kill coming in for Yonka. 3 versus 3. They know where the man is. No way he wins that at range. Coated by another Citizen. Snapping up and making himself heard. Here we go with another fight coming in. Coated going for the plant. It's on these two now to try and make the recovery happen. Citizen pushing his way forward as the other holds off to the second angle. One comes in. Woogie finds the kill onto Virtue, and Citizen's got it all to do in a 1 versus 2 against Coated and Woogie.
We know that he's certainly capable of it, but Virtue just missing his shots there onto Woogieman, who managed to beat him to the punch and find the kill. Citizen looking for the first of 2 that he's going to need. One is on red stairs. Citizen surely, no, just dips out of the way, doesn't manage to get the kill. In come the flashbangs. That's going to force Citizen away, and it's smart play from DWG KIA, just using everything at their disposal. Takes out the air jab, but with time ticking away, 7 seconds, he's got to do something here. It's very unlikely the challenge is going to come out, and shut down by Coated. Citizen cannot close the round out. It's going to be DWG KIA taking number 1 with a good attack onto Aviator Games.
I thought you were going to say taking it with the bang, and I was going to go, actually, Ace, it was with several flashbangs. Just having them thrown at him there in the post plant as well, all sat in the back pocket. Imagine what they'll be like post patch, of course, if you haven't seen the changes coming in the new season. A couple of changes to flashes potentially being reworked or looked at on the TTS. Lots to be excited about on that front, but DWG KIA leaning behind them even now to some good effect. First round then. DWG KIA draw first blood, and G2 are the ones who have got to find a response. For now, that response is going to look like stepping back into the same site as Rin steps away from playing the Zofia into the Flores.
As many bombs as they can.
DWG KIA coming out with a strong start then. G2, how long does it take for them to start thinking? If DWG KIA are putting rounds on the board, how long does it take for it to get into G2's head? You know, is this happening again? Are we going to suffer at the hands of DWG KIA again? Are we going to be calling it a day on our tournament? Is the match against NIP going to be nothing more than a swan song? Citizen downstairs again. He had a good round last time, managed to get himself a nitro kill from underneath onto Rin, I believe it was, if memory serves correctly. And then we've got the setup inside a site. Banshee's just inside of the door, laser gates, we've got bulletproof cameras, we've got everything that G2 need to hold this down. The one thing they're not getting is the frag stairs. It came down to a 2v1, so they did manage to find 3 of DWG KIA, but 3 is not enough to win a round.
It's being cheeky again. It's always in the early round. This time round, Citizen was the one being the aggressor, and Katsang being mildly wary of what was going on there. Doesn't find himself losing his life, so no big concern. At least in those first 30 seconds, no one has been spawn peeked. It's what we're so used to seeing, including actually, I think it was in the game for DWG KIA against Dark Zero, the counter spawn peeks coming in. They just had their number and knew what was going on and had a response every single time.
Woogieman a little bit slow on the draw there. Had the opportunity as the man moved across. I think it was the Aruni of Hungary, but he didn't manage to hit his shots. Virtue still playing inside his sight. We've got Kayak at the top of the main stairs. A little bit lacking of impact in round 1. He'll be looking to do a bit more. We know how much of a strong influence Kayak has had on this G2 side since joining. Virtue locking himself down inside of the vault for the time being. He's going to look to see if he can deliver anything in this round.
Look at that, look. Constant pings coming in. Gadget here. Gadget here. Gadget here. Shoot. 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 Make it do his work from below. Don't need an IQ to do this. You can get away with just getting a drone inside and a few red pings to assist you along the way. Second round in a row now that Rin has found Hungry in the opening kill. This one a bit slower than last time, but it's still not good for Hungry to be dying out so early on.
Absolutely not. 1.5 minutes left to go, and it just leaves G2 once again at a man disadvantage. They did manage to level it up with that Citizen Nitro quite quickly last time, but I don't think that's going to be the case here. Katsang sending the drone in. They know that Kayak is on those stairs. There's a second one moving across, so DWG KIA looking to pressure from underneath. It's actually Rin that's going to be supporting Katsang and Yas. Kayak has got a whole world of trouble coming his way if he's not careful. Manages to find find one with the MX4. Storm cannot find another as Katsang manages to get the trade. Virtue finds Woogieman. Virtue finds Quartered. This is what we need from the Australian gunner on the side of G2. 45 seconds left to go, but a nade to the face is not going to help Citizen to keep fighting into the late round. It's Virtue, it's Yonka. They have to close this down. G2 can't allow themselves to get too far behind.
Really good control from below for the side of DWG KIA. Grenades singing up, removing gadgetry, removing players. He managing to clear out main stairs here too. So this is where the push begins. Yonka holding at the top of 90. They're holding off inside of Aviator or thereabouts, I would imagine. But it's the time they've got to work with. About 20 seconds here to go to. What's going to be the focus? Apparently getting the soft wall opened up on bottom of 90 is the number one play because they want to try and get a plant inside a bar. Virtue daring them to come running in through this doorway. It could be a freebie for him. He's going to find it, and that's the diffuser. A triple kill for the Aussie at 1 versus 1. Yonka got to make something happen, I think, or just hold back and wait. Let them be the ones who have to move fast. 1 second. I don't think he'll be there in time. Just about gets there. Rin has now got to challenge this angle. He loses it out. Down one take around from the jaws of defeat when surely it looked like G2 had done enough.
What are we witnessing here? Literally millimeters across the threshold. This just seems like the day for fine margins. It was time in the BDS game. It's distance in the DWG KIA game. Somehow managing to just get that diffuser in hand and get it into the site in the absolute nick of time. Beautiful play from DWG KIA, fighting down to the last millisecond, never allowing themselves to give up on the round.
Must be an absolute dream being a DWG KIA player right now. Imagine you've come to an international tournament like this. Names that no doubt you've grown up watching at majors or, just thinking, oh, one day I'll be there. So far, smashed their way through NIP. Came dangerously close and actually beat G2 on Monday. Dangerously close against Dark Zero and now potentially about to do the double over G2. I tell you what, I could become a pro player. I can't become a pro player, but if I were to become one and I could beat G2 and NIP even once, I'd retire and that would be my trophy accolade in my career.
I thought you were honestly looking to get yourself involved then, Des. I thought it's going to be a long road, I'm sure.
Mate, every journey starts somewhere and it all starts with a small step.
It's got to be with a single step. I tell you what, it would be just as long a journey for me and most everybody else at home because these guys are playing on a skill level that we just can't really appreciate, a lot of us, because believe me, they are good. I came up against Citizen in game once, randomly in a ranked game, and I'm glad it was the last time. Put it that way, Des. He killed me 2 or 3 times and I didn't even see him once. Absolutely unbelievable. But back to the game at hand. Round 3, we found ourselves Citizen all the way down inside of basement. We talk about this area. It's little used on Villa, usually for nothing more than transition. There's no vertical nitro spots that Citizen can really use down here. But the point is, if DWG KIA misdrawn this and they don't find him, that's when he could be really lethal.
Tim, name me a single call-out in the basement of Villa.
Basement. Barrels?
Boxes?
Barrels.
Statue? Look at it, like, this is, you know how little it's played when no one has got a call-out for it. If someone runs down there, you're just like, guys, I'm sorry, he's disappeared into the abyss.
He's in basement, just watch the stairs.
She's in basement, that's about it. Which stairway? I don't know, Jeff. Yonka finding Yas at the very start of this one. It was previously Rin finding the opening kill in both rounds onto Hungry. This time round, it's DK walking away with the opening death.
G2, they need to do what DWG KIA have been able to do so far, and that is once they've got that opening kill, back it up, find more, get yourself a stronger advantage, and especially for G2 on the defense, they can start to just sit back a little bit then. They don't have to pressure quite as aggressively. Now, they are defending in Library and Living Room. We've spoken about this site already today. We are seeing more and more play in here. It's sort of 50-50 now, at least at the Mexico Major with this site, or Dining and Kitchen. It's certainly becoming a more used option. Now then, DWG KIA go into look and clear the top floor. There's vertical angles being held by G2. Need to be careful here, Quartered. He's going to be challenged from both angles. Hungry, Virtue, G2 absolutely settling into this round. Jonker will be downed but not out. An opportunity to pick him up potentially. Katsang looking for the angle onto anyone inside a site here, but they just can't find them. Woogieman, he's still on that top floor clearance. There's one inside a bar. He gets shut down, finished off, and it's going to be 1 versus 5. Katsang is out of here, and that is a flawless round for G2.
It's what baffles me is you get this kind of stuff happening sometimes. Like, think back to Na'Vi versus SSG, the counter flawless rounds that we saw coming out. First one being to SSG in round 3, then round 4, Na'Vi got one on the way back. Just goes to show that an individual round itself can't really tell you the full story of a game. But a good response from G2, and we always say getting that first round on the board is pivotal to going on to find your second, third, fourth, fifth, all the way up to the point that you win. So just remind you, you can get this over the finish line. On to the next downstairs site. Then we've seen Aviator twice and Living Room and Library just now. Dining and Kitchen going to be the location for round number 4.
Dining and Kitchen it is, and that's no surprise. G2 have just had their best round so far in Living Room and Library. Holding top floor just doesn't seem to be working out for them. They've tried AVG twice. They don't want to go to Trophy Statuary, obviously, and it's no surprise. Like I say, you move downstairs, you go Living Room and Library. Not only do you close the round out, you close it out flawlessly. It's been fantastic for them. So now, moving into Dining Kitchen, it's a logical choice. You can do similar things. They'll look to hold down the top floor. They had 3 men, I think, up at the beginning of the round, in and around that south side of the top floor. Aviator Games, 90 Corridor. This time, it's going to be over in Master Bedroom. It's going to be over in Trophy and Astro that they need to hold down. Bathroom as well, as you can see from the bomb silhouettes. That is the area directly above the site, and that is where Katsang is going to want to get in and make that sledgehammer sing all the time against the floor. He's not worried about the walls. He wants those vertical angles on this site.
Love how we're seeing again this comp that seems to be running through a lot of teams here at Mexico. Not like it's anything new either, but the Vigil, the Mute, the Mozzie, all as a combination, all about the intel denial game. And against a team like Damwon who want to move fast, I think denying away information from them is a surefire way to make them trip up, make a couple of mistakes, get themselves caught potentially by the likes of Kayak. Not the most usual suspect for seeing a play on an operator like this, but here it's Yonka finding the entry kill once again, this time onto Woogie.
Yonka somewhat of an entry hero in the last couple of rounds for G2. Just when things felt like they were slipping a little bit after the first couple of rounds, Yonka steadies the ship by getting those entries and just really enabling G2 to have that strong foundation in the round. Courted just working from the windows, as is Katsang. They're trying to get angles into sight for the time being. The Selma charge has been applied to the wall, but they're going to wait. This is smart from Kayak. Just waits for it to be activated. They're looking to clear out the utility, and until it is cleared, you can just leave it there. Yas manages to find a kill onto Virtue with a nade there, and that is the Selma cleared off from Kayak, but it does give his position away as well, so he needs to be careful, potentially relocate himself. Yas, he's looking at working from an alternative angle, and guess what? That one's muted out as well, Des.
I'm pretty sure it's jammed from inside of Dining, that on the other side of that wall, that neighbors, like parallel to the wall that you're looking at where Kayak was holding, it's been jammed out by the new jammer on the other side, as Medics just pointed out there, next to the cabinet. Thank you very much, Medics. What's the same story on this one? That's now been removed away. Gonna look to deny that one away here, Kayak, and leave it. So it is like a Habana-shaped hole, but not enough that anyone can go walking through, because at this point, looking at the Selmas on side, there is only one left for Coated. This next one needs to be placed right.
Certainly does. The impact nade coming out after the first explosion, and it clears off before the second explosion. So there we go. The Selma comes in. That's going to be... It should be maneuverable, but it's not at an easy height. It's quite low in the wall, and that's something DWG KIA need to allow for. They can't just assume that they can run in and throw that diffuser down, but it will allow them some nice lines of sight as well. Kota just getting the drone in there. DWG KIA feeling that in this last 30 seconds, they need a bit more information. They need to know exactly who is where inside of sight. Now then, they nearly catch the Vigil of Kayak dashing across the kitchen door there, but he will get away with it. He's looking for anybody trying to creep in through this breach that's been opened up. Katsang not having any joy from above yet. 13 seconds left to go, and DWG KIA need to make this happen. Hungry, he manages to find Rin. Katsang will trade it out though. 3 versus 2. You gotta hit those shots. Kayak just missing and allowing the man in to try and put the diffuser down. Here comes the pressure. Citizen is going to be shut down by Yas as he comes through. Vertical angle. Yas with a double at the end, and that is going to be... No, it wasn't. It was Katsang up above on the vertical that we saw, but it was Yas dashing into sight that managed to get the kill onto Citizen, and that's DWG KIA taking another round. It doesn't matter, top floor, bottom floor, they'll find wins everywhere on Villa.
A few times today we've mentioned the kind of one moment in a round that, although in itself doesn't look mega impactful, it's not the kind of shot that wins a round. It's the small things that kind of trickle from being a snowball into an avalanche, and before you know it, something has gone down a very different path than what you intended. In that round, Kayak missing that spray was the difference maker. Kota goes down. There's one man left alive on the ground floor because you've got Yas playing on the upstairs. Everything Damwon Kia wanted to get done in that round rode on him being able to cross, get behind the table, and get the plant down. And for all intents and purposes, Kayak essentially missed a full mag onto him there. These things do happen, but you'd hope at this level you're being able to land those critical shots. Kayak currently still 0-3. Now stepping across to bring along the Chanka.
I think that's the thing, you know, at this level, and we say this level sort of quite broadly, we're talking about International Siege, Tier 1 International Siege, but I'm talking even in specifics there's the Mexico Major, the level of play that we've been seeing here from the top teams has been phenomenal so far. We've seen some really great performances both individually and as teams. So at this level, like you say, you're not going to get much more of a chance than that. And it's not, you know, as a criticism to say, oh, as if he didn't get that kill. It's not an easy kill to get. The man's moving quickly. He's only got head and shoulders to aim at. But if you want to compete, if you want to be a champion, those are the shots you got to hit. It's, you know, it's a tough one, but it's as simple as it is. You've got to take those opportunities when they're presented to you. Look at the mistake that was punished by Cyclops for BDS. You know, it's small margins. We keep saying this, and I know BDS went on to win the game. I'm just talking about that individual round. Small mistakes, and Cyclops got in straight away. Right, that's our opportunity. That's the crack. In we go, and we'll take advantage of it. And that's maybe something that G2 haven't been able to do so far this tournament, is really punish people enough.
So I think step forward from here in round number 5. Again, I'm keeping a close eye on the Chanka from Kayak. We've seen a couple of Chanka picks, and we almost saw Charla pull off a 1 versus 5 against Empire earlier on Consulate. He did fail on that last kill. I believe it was Shepard who came swinging in, or maybe Cypher who got the closing kill to win the round for Empire, but my God, was he close. Chanka being quite popular because of the site transformation properties in terms of the landscaping work that he can do, and those 14 fire rounds in back pocket. We haven't seen them be as effective as some would like, but you can play ping pong with them. It's not like it's fire it in a straight line as you're seeing here. Bounce it off a wall and get it to drop a little bit further down. Good cover to support Yonka here. Maybe he can even hold onto these stairs for quite a bit longer as a result.
Well, that's it. It's quite an interesting use of the Chanka. It's not one that we've really seen before, but just bouncing them around the corners there, it just spreads fire all over those stairs, and it really does help Jonker. He's going to be able to remain there for much longer, potentially. It just really does hold off that push from main stairs. So a nice little adaptation there, which I do like. It's now the question of how long is Kayak going to remain doing that for? How long are they going to commit to that for before they think, actually, nobody's pushing up there? And we've got our answer. He's dipped back deeper into sight. He's going to keep that utility in hand. He's still got 11 canisters that he can drop out to prevent and just close down any alleyways, any pushes that start to develop.
Got Kota in here. Does he know that there's a man this close? I don't think he does at this point. We might know soon. Virtue's on with the C4 coming out, but completely goes wide of the target. No one even there at the time, I don't think. Where Citizen has dipped himself away. Back inside of the vault here, not looking to get himself caught up in a too early foray. However, for both sides, there are 10, well, 5 players either side, but 10 in total still in the server. 33 seconds still to play with, Ace. This is going to be a bloody end to this round.
It is. It's going to be an absolute battle for both of these teams as the shots start raining in. Virtue still downstairs. A little bit of a concern. 20 seconds left to go. He's not going to be able to have too much of an impact from there. He's already used his nitro. There is the potential that peak holes have been opened up in the floor. We'll see as the round develops. Rin manages to get a headshot onto Hungry. Clearing out the vault can take that power position. They need to think about getting the diffuser down. That's exactly what Kota does. The kills are raining in. There's DWG KIA just seems so organised on this attack. They know where everybody is. They've got G2's number. They get the diffuser down. Katsang finds the final kill onto Virtue as he tries to rotate back to site. As I suggested, I don't know why he was still downstairs. There was the potential there that maybe they were hoping for some information that would allow him the vertical denial just with, you know, shots from his rifle, but it didn't happen. It didn't happen, and the team was short-handed on site. It's not necessarily Virtue's fault, but just in terms of as a setup, you've got to question it.
Just a little bit. No surprises here that a G2 timeout has been called in. They are down 4-1. Been slapped from pillar to post by the side of down 1 so far, and even with the Shumika launcher being brought along in that round, and you know, we saw the effects. We saw the fire and was like, oh, quite effective now that you look at it. Problem was, Rin just walked through. Like, wasn't really a problem. It's almost like the area isn't quite big enough to stop you still walking around, and Rin just walked through straight into Vault, shot Citizen in the face, and carried on in his walk through to killing everyone else inside the site as well. It's one of those where it looks like it's going to do a lot of work, but seems to be being proven by quite a few teams to not be as effective as maybe, you know, it was intended for the Shanka to be.
I mean, you've got to be careful with it, haven't you? You know, there's a lot of ammunition there. Make it too effective, and you've got a problem. You've got a problem because you're just going to shut down entire rooms. You're going to shut down entire attacking paths for a minute or more. You know, you've got to be very careful with how powerful that gadget is. I think it's in a nice place. It's a deterrent. You know, it stops teams wanting to push through an area necessarily, but if needs be, you can take it. You can get through there and you can make the challenge. And that's what Rin shows us there. Now, we're going to be heading back in. It is going to be the final defensive round for G2. And the big concern, I'm sure, for lots of G2 fans sat watching this is the fact that this is their defensive phase on Villa. If they're going to be getting rounds anywhere, we would expect it to be now, whereas DWG KIA have come in and brushed them aside, I think it's fair to say, so far on the attack. And then DWG KIA at a potential 5-1 are going to switch onto the defensive side of Villa. That does not bode well for G2 in terms of this matchup and in terms of the Mexico Major. Let's not forget, lose here and they are done. That is it.
Would not be the most victorious campaign for EU teams at Mexico. Empire still, of course, holding firm. BDS doing well in their group. Now they've secured into first place, but Na'Vi with the first team to go home. G2 could be the fourth, I want to say. I saw on the mainstream earlier on, Monty's found some, like, Aztec... It's not a weapon, but it's like a horn that was used by the Aztecs in war, right? And it sounds like a person screaming. It's called an Aztec death whistle, I've just been told, which tells you exactly how morbid it sounds. And it sounds horrible and terrifying at the same time. I don't want anyone to ever blow one of those in my face because I genuinely fear for my life.
I'm sure that's what that was its purpose.
Honestly,
sure, you know, I'm sure that is, you know,
screaming those at you.
Task achieved. Just like Woogie Man achieves his task and blows death into the face of Yonka, taking the man down. That's the mute gone, and that is another opening kill for DWG KIA. It is another advantage for them on the attack. Now then, Rin's got a drone. Just sat there, pinging out the Wamai of Kayak. And there is absolutely no response. There's no idea. He's just going to stay there until he gets hit with shots.
Just give it time. They'll find something. A nade apparently might be the answer here. He is holding an alternative angle. You might get a beautiful view of that. Look at it. Medics, you are a peach of an observer. I love that angle. Katsang getting Kayak for free. And I bet he's wondering, how do they know? It's called a drone, my good friend. Coated now getting the plan down to 5 versus 3. 5 versus 2, sorry. A 5 versus 1. You called a timeout, boys, but something tells me it's going from bad to worse. Last round was a near flawless. What I call a 4 versus 1. And the last remaining one player dies. This one, jonesing up to be exactly the same because Virtue has got to pull off a miracle.
DWG KIA right now, Des, are becoming unstoppable. At what point do we stop talking about them as a surprise package and do we start talking about them as potential contenders? They've beaten the world champions. Not once, Des. They've beaten them twice. They've now lining up to beat G2 for a second time. They have the potential to come out of Group C on top. They've got the potential to come out of Group C with a record of 5 wins and 1 loss if they beat Dark Zero in the final matchup of the day. This is an unbelievable performance from DWG KIA. And that's coming from somebody who's been supporting them, who's been shouting them up, who's been saying that they're a team who can go places, who can get wins. I still didn't expect this sort of performance at their first international LAN. This is absolutely off the chart, and it is impressive, it is entertaining, and it's just great to see.
You know what I'd love to see? I don't know if I'd really like the draws to be, actually. I want APAC teams on different side of the bracket so we can get a Cyclops versus DWG KIA grand final. And everyone gets to witness the madness that we endure on a weekly basis in APAC North. But imagine if those two teams came head to head. They know each other inside and out. They've played each other throughout all of APAC North. They have better knowledge of how the other plays and how to deal with it. No doubt would be a bit of a show for the world to endure and see what that looks like. But right now, Europe, North America, even LATAM to some level, they're feeling the pain of APAC, and that the days that Dev Marta, I know he's been screaming about it for years, the day has come that APAC is waking up and making a name for themselves. However, we've got to see them potentially get through 2 defensive win rounds first. G2, it's in their own hands now. There's nothing else they can blame. It's entirely on them if this now falls through their fingers. They can fight their way back, but it is a tall mountain to climb.
It certainly is, and the climb has to start now. You know, they are at the foot of the hill. They've got to take those first steps. They've got to tighten up the rucksack, Des. They've got to plough forward, and they've got to keep walking up this mountainside no matter what happens, because if they don't, the journey is going to end here and now. Woogieman just using that vertical angle to apply some pressure to the underneath. You got to remember they work both ways, and generally speaking, that one will be put next to the map's table to allow one of the defenders to challenge onto that plant spot in the late round if needs be, just to prevent the attackers getting the diffuser down. But it can also be used throughout the round, of course. Now, Virtue just going to be peeking in through the main door there, dips himself away. He's got Courted to contend with if G2 look to push up these main stairs. He's there, he's got the shotgun, and he's going to take those tight, short angles all day long.
Well, there's a drone peeking at you, Rudy. Easy one taken out. Little swing onto the south side balcony. Notices one there. Sees the man. Sets out for the spray again. Yonka taking a bit of chip damage to the knee. But he's still an adventurer at this point. Only down to about 80 HP. And continuing his job until Yas goes for the swing. An arrow won't do the trick, but apparently a gun will.
Yas finding the opener onto Yonka. I'm not sure if he managed to take the Selma off the wall as well, or whether study wall has been opened. We'll see as that goes. Thank you, medics. It was opened partially, so he did not only get the kill, managed to take out the second destructive layer of that Selma as well. Woogieman will bite the dust now on the Valkyrie. That'll allow him to sit over on the cams, which we can see he's doing immediately, feeding information into his teammates on the defense. Rin finds Citizen. There you go. A little peek out of the window. Citizen not even getting into the map in this round. 4 versus 3. And I tell you what, Des, I look down the side of G2 and the kills are lacking. Virtue, who I called out and said we needed to see more frags, he's the one stepping up, and I'm glad to see it. 8 frags from him, but he needs a little bit more support.
Only thing, I think, feels like kind of beating a man while he's down, but for Virtue, a lot of those kills have been the empty 1v4, 1v5 kills. I haven't really done much to, you know, win the team the round for the most part. Looking back at round number 3 where they won in there, it was a flawless round. So the actual round they've won was a whole team effort. We need to see a bit more coming out of everyone here. Kayak, especially at 0 and 5, this is not the game to be quiet. Hungry yesterday, top fragging in their game that they won. Today, not really being seen. Down 1 Kia, just keeping them against the ropes and not giving them any time to breathe or recover.
Time running out here for G2. Kayak gets an important kill onto Yas. It's going to allow him into sight to start putting the diffuser down. Big from Katsang though. The challenge is going to come in through study. There we go. 1. No, doesn't get the second. Hungry. It's now 2 versus 1. Damn 1 Kia win because G2 can't get the diffuser down. Des, there's more than one way to win a round in Siege, and Sand running through the hourglass will do it just as well as killing everybody on the other team.
It's match point, Ace. It's 6-1 to Damn 1 Kia against G2. This was meant to be G2's redemption game, the time when they could fight their way back in, go on to face off against NIP in their next game, which is coming up next on this stream, to give them a chance to fight for it. But what happens now, if Damn 1 Kia win this game, is NIP are the only ones who can try and challenge for a top 2 spot. Things get real dicey because Dark Zero is NIP's second game, and then Dark Zero play against Damn 1 Kia. If things go right for NIP, it's kind of counting on Dark Zero to lose against Damn 1 Kia to guarantee themselves a spot towards the top. It's going to be such a spicy end to this group.
It really is. I mean, would you expect this from G2? Would you expect them, if they were going out of an international land, to just limp out in this way? You want them to at least go out with a bang, give us something to, you know, give you G2 fans something to cheer, something to shout about, something to get excited, even if it doesn't work out in the end. But right now, you just don't feel like they've got a round in them. They might come out and surprise us here. It's trophy and statuary for what could be the final round of Villa here as Damn 1 Kia look to lock things down, and what a statement it sends, Des. If they come in here 7-1, they had 2 results against NIP yesterday where they were taken all the way to overtime, but then to come out even stronger time after time after time, there's teams that are going to be scared of playing this Damn 1 Kia side.
G2 brings something a little bit special here. Citizen stepping across onto the Nook. We've seen that crawling through basement. I won't say which room. It's just basement. Every single call out in downstairs, as we concluded earlier on. See if he can maybe get himself up a cheeky stairway somewhere to cause a little bit of trouble in the back lines of down one Kia. But on their side, they've got that troublesome clash, Tim. And whenever I see that, I feel nervous for any attacking team that hasn't got the tools to deal with it.
You can see the Kaid there just playing on the electrical, waiting to try and have some sort of impact. Not going to be able to. Won't be able to get it on the wall in time there, and the Hibana X Kairos pellets will open things up. Also needs to be careful now, Yas, because of course we can see the relocation of the shield immediately there. Of course, explosives could fly in through that hole, so they need to make sure that they're not wasting lives, wasting utility that could be used elsewhere. And the smoke, of course, it is going to relocate that shield into Astro to try and lock down any potential action inside a bathroom.
Team square up then. Hungry on the gridlock. We spoke about this a little bit yesterday in the one game we saw it brought along as the alternative to, say, a Nomad, normally used, of course, for cutting out rotates. The gridlock a little bit more useful, you might wager, inside of the map itself. I think actually it was Constant where we saw it brought along. Virtue, that's his first opener of the game. Not a bad one to find either. Onto Yas, one who, once again, is top fragging for this team.
Good start from Virtue. The G2 just need now to find a second, I feel. And they need to get themselves 5-3. They can't let Dan1 Kia trade it out. They can't let them level things up again. Jonker just playing ring around the roses with Rin at the minute as the Aruni goes the opposite way into study whilst the man's in vault. What a little picture we've got ahead of us here. Now then, Citizen, yes, doubles down, gets the nade kill onto Courted, but Rin ultimately able to shut down Virtue whilst this dance of death continues. Yonka looking for the Aruni, knows that she's located hard left. Can he find a kill? No, Rinhao somehow on the reverse angle gets the kill onto Jonker, and once again, Dan1 Kia are able to fight and level things up, but Citizen, he catches Rin completely unawares. Knock, knock, who's there? It's Citizen taking G2 into the lead once again, but the gun barrel gives away the Hibana inside of Master. Katsang making the challenge. The shield firmly on the back of the clash at the minute. Needs to be careful. Overextends. Shut down by Kayak. G2 punishing mistakes right now.
That's it, yeah. Woogie left alone here on the Maestro. It's a big ask, one that he will not be able to answer. Citizen on the Nook coming up and shutting down Rin, who I've got to give a lean to, by the way, Tim. The reaction times on that man are something else. As you mentioned it, Yonka was the one going for the swing. We're not forgetting we are on land. There is zero ping here. Goes for the swing and Rin responds first, gets the headshot and wins the trade. That should really not be happening at this level, but alas, it does. That's just how good Rin can be.
How good Rin can be. It's how good Dan1 Kia can be. Right now, G2, they need to find some answers. They've got themselves one. And that puts them 2 on the scoreboard overall. But they've got a lot of match points to play against at this stage. Any mistakes here will be costly as they come. Rin just getting caught out there. Just the silence of that Nox movement, able to allow Citizen to creep up onto the red stairs. It was great play from Citizen, a good round from him. I think it was needed. It was something that G2 just need to feel that energy seeping back into the map for them.
Well, I guess one way to surprise Rin is to play the Nook, and that's exactly what Citizen's going to do again in this round, this time heading down into Dining and Kitchen. On the other side again, seeing that Frost being replaced by the much more popular pick, it feels, for most teams at this competition. Going in towards the Alibi, who's been given the 1.5 times scope that was originally on the C1 of Frost. So small tweets coming. It doesn't sound like a big deal, but clearly it's enough that shows players value more than anything having that 1.5 times over the specific utility that you can bring instead.
Well, I mean, the thing is, Alibi's gun is fantastic as well. The MX4 Storm, you know that it's an absolute laser and it can get kills just left, right, centre. The gadgets can sort of perform a similar task to the Frost mats. They're not as lethal, but if you put them in windows, for example, it prevents people jumping in. So the task, the outcome, is sometimes largely the same. It just makes them think twice. They have to solve a problem before they can get in through a window, for example. Because if they just hop in, they're going to trigger the ping, they're going to know that they're there, you can make a challenge onto them. So absolutely can see why the Alibi is becoming popular. And we've seen some big plays here at the Mexico Major with Alibi. And I'm sure that we'll see plenty more before we're done. Yonka trying to move into study again. This was his Domain last time around, we had that challenge with Rin. Ultimately, Rin was able to get the win. He just absolutely dominated Yonka on that reverse angle. Citizen, G2, they need to get themselves... I don't know if they need to get upstairs. They don't seem to be going up there at the minute, but the defenders are pretty comfortable inside of sight right now, and a bit of vertical presence will prevent that.
Steps into here. Nate coming through. Will apologise, by the way. So, I know I've told you in private, but if my headset cuts out, I can't know what's going on. You can take it, and you can just scream for the pair of us, eh?
I'll certainly do that, don't you worry.
That's true. I'm sure you will. Coach then holding up on the near angle, shotgun in hand, daring Citizen to come up through pantry here. They have the sneaking suspicion, and don't forget, of course, with the pulse on side, it's more confirmation for you. So as sneaky as Citizen thinks he's being right here, but getting all excited about what he might be able to achieve, they know exactly where he is and what it is that he's trying to do. The ping does indicate that someone's up there, and surely at this point they know he went for the swing, and the shotgun blast comes out. Surprise has been foiled, revealed, but Coated, the one who loses out in that exchange, whilst upstairs, Yonka goes down. Rin on the jump out. That's the beautiful stuff, but Kayaki's there for the trade. Better cover coming out of G2. However, still at least for a few seconds finding themselves in the 3 versus 3 until Yonka is put back on his feet. Yes, finding Hungry. Could that be it, Tim? I mean, Yonka's going to get rescued here when they're confident they're not being pushed onto, but Citizen's still dangerously low on HP.
It's taking time. Yonka's going to come back to 20 HP, so you've got 2 operators there that can die very quickly inside of a gunfight. Katsang just using that heartbeat scanner. DWG KIA have got all the information. Honestly, time is going to become a big factor here, Des. 20 seconds, G2 are going to have to rush. And having to rush when you've only got 20, 10 HP in the case of Citizen, that is a recipe for disaster. Selma charge is going to open the hatch. It's going to come down to a drop. Katsang finds Citizen. That's 3 versus 2. Kayak gives his position away, shut down. It's DWG KIA. It's 7-2. It's G2 eliminated from the Mexico Major, and it's DWG KIA, the first APAC team to buy their ticket to the playoffs. They're going. They've done it. They've got the points locked in, and they will progress from Group C.
Amazing when you put it that way, Tim. G2 knocked out by a team that until 3 days ago, most people watching this stream or participating in esports probably hadn't heard of. What a splash this team has made. And for G2, that's the dreams over for now. They go back to EU. Lots to be working on ahead of the next major. But that was something special.
I'll tell you what as well, Des, that does inside of Group C is it absolutely piles the pressure onto NIP. They have 4 points. They need to win both games and rely on other results now to get out of the group, because you've got Dark Zero on 9 points, you've got DWG KIA top of the table on 10 points. So it's all to do for NIP, and they need G2 to beat Dark Zero, a G2 team which have just been dismantled by DWG KIA.
A scary amount to rely on, isn't it, when you put it that way? Lots to be thinking about. NIP, they're the ones who have now got all the damage to do. They've got to actually go on and beat G2. And for G2, it's their decision now as to whether or not they can do something magic. They can be the ones to cause an upset and bring down NIP. Yes, on without a headset, but I know someone else who isn't. We've got Jackie to get back on here with us as well. Jackie, all our predictions are wrong, but I can't say I'm leaving feeling unsatisfied.
No, by no means, right? If there was ever a time to be proved wrong, this was definitely the one that I'll be willing to take. DWG KIA looking ridiculous. Quickly becoming Kendrick Lamar's favourite team because DWG KIA just looking so damn good with the way they've been playing. To school G2 in such a manner as well, Tim. It wasn't a close game. You look at it for what it is, you look at the scoreline, that was a whitewash. They absolutely rolled them.
They did. You know, there's no two ways of... There's no dressing it up, Jackie. There's no way that we can make that look any better than it was. G2 were lost at sea. DWG KIA had all the answers. They came through 5-1 in the first half on attack of Villa. There was just nothing G2 could do to shut them down. It was just an absolute nightmare. There was no space for them. They were challenged absolutely everywhere. DWG KIA were just winning gunfight after gunfight. There was no fear in them whatsoever. And I said coming into the tournament that one thing that was a potential strength for DWG KIA was the fact that in a way they'd already won. They're a new roster. They've come through the playoffs. They've got themselves to the major. It's a great achievement already. So every game they win is a bonus. So it feels like maybe they're playing a little bit freer, a little bit more sort of without pressure than everybody else. There's going to come a point where they start thinking to themselves, hang on a minute, how far can we go? And that's going to be interesting to see how they handle that. And it's probably going to become now when they're heading into the playoffs.
Well, obviously alleviating so much pressure as well is going to be huge for them, but on the flip side, we think about what this does for G2. You've still got another game as well here on the B stream. Straight after the break, Des, obviously they face off versus NIP, an NIP side that is probably a little bit salty. You imagine there's still some sodium after last night's results, so it's not going to be pretty for them, is it?
Oh, absolutely not, right. I mean, for NIP, again, the fates, they've got their own fate in their own hands here in the same way G2 have in this game. You've got to get it right against G2. G2 have got nothing to fight for anymore. You have. You could be joining them on that plane home if you're not careful. But that plane is starting to fill up fast, Jackie. And I'm pretty sure NIP want it to be going off before they're forced to take their seats. They want to get through here. G2 are there for taking. They're a wounded animal. Now's your time to strike.
Yeah, they'll be hoping that they don't have to purchase speedy boarding. For any viewers at home, though, that were watching Rin play and thinking, God damn, I wish I had aim like that. Well, we can help you on that front. We partnered up with Aim Lab for the event, of course, and what you can do is head on over and get involved with it. It's the best way to level up and improve inside of Siege at the minute, with multiple new programs that have been coming in, involving a ceiling peak task, also a door holding task and a headshot task. There's multiple different ways to train your aim. It's well worth it. They're also giving away an APP custom M416C skin that you can get inside of Aim Lab that is currently themed around the Mexico Major. So a lot that is up for grabs, and maybe you can have a fraction of the skill that Rin has. Isn't that right, Tim?
It'd only be a fraction because Rin has just gone big once again. I think Rin really enjoys playing against G2. Something tells me that he likes going up against this team.
Absolutely. And we will be seeing more from G2 here on the B stream when we come back in after the break. Keep it locked for that. NIP take them on in our next best of one.